On Star Sports TV this week, we're going to talk York. It's the Ebor Festival. We're going to have Luke in. We're going to talk 300-1 winners with Flynn. We're going to also talk the Europa League ahead of the final. Julie Collier talks to Pat Rosney. And I'm betting people, Simon meets Jeremy Scott. It's all ahead of you in week 6. It's time for racing with Luke Tarr. And the place to start here is Hookham. 13-2. We had a nice winner, Luke.
We did, Johnny. Well done. Get that in early. Like I always say to Bill and Sylvester, if they have a winner, that's gone. We're moving on now. But if I have one, I want to talk about it for 3.5 minutes.
Yeah.
So forget the racing this weekend. Just talk about my glories.
Well, yeah, which is exactly what we have. Glories in 3.5 minutes here. Hookham, 32 winner. I would love one of them at the moment. It's been a tough enough run for a lot of Irish punters. Let's talk Yorkshire Oaks. Love, she wins. She's 2-5. Franconi and one voice, 15-2. Kind of like Franconi as an each-way angle, but not a great each-way betting race. But this is just Love wins, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you know me. I'm always looking for an angle to get these favourites beaten. But
looking for Love.
You found it with you, Johnny. If you look at Ryan Moore, he wouldn't say hi to the postman, would he? And he sat on her at Epsom, and he can't stop going on about how special she is. I think that said everything for me. I think we just move on because I think Love wins the Oaks, and that's that.
Very briefly on that, the point has been made that the Derby and the Oaks were both running a mad gallop, and the way she finished the race relative to how horses did in the Derby, if you had any moments worry, next thing she's 9 lengths clear.
Yeah, I've got no concern. I think she'll win.
I think one voice might chase her home. I think she's interested. She's very progressive. But for me, right, the Nunthorpe, I cannot see how Batash isn't 3-1 on, maybe even 2-7 here. I know he's disappointed on occasion. A little bit of rain coming. Art Power 9-4. I can't be having this at all. This looks an absolute shoe-in. I want to do.
It's not often we agree, Johnny, is it? And it's not often that I'll put up another odds-on favourite. Look, we've talked about Batash over the years and all these Zoom rooms we've done and at various interviews, and his inconsistency was what brought the house down. That he came fourth in the Nunthorpe in 2017 and 2018, but he won it by 4 lengths in a record time last year. He's now the best sprinter of a generation.
He also looks quite chilled out this year in relative terms. He's doing his job.
The no crowds must have helped him. And if you look at Art Power, won at Newcastle, then he went and won a handicap at Royal Ascot, won a Group 3 at Naas, and he's now 9-4. I mean, fans of the Zoom Room and Sylvester Sousa, you better get on the internet and get on Twitter and get on Star Sports TV, because we'll be having him exclusively on Friday morning. But I can't see how he's possibly 9-4. I think he should be far bigger.
That Naas form is miles off Batash. Let's talk to Ebor on Saturday. This is a cracker. Fajira Prince, 7s, Pablo Escobar. Punters could be keeping their powder dry there. 8-1. Trushan, 8-1. You like one of the bigger price from Ireland, though?
I do. I like 2 horses that, funny enough, have been bought out of other yards. Joseph O'Brien, good trainer, but the boy's real talent is his targeting races, in my opinion. And they've bought Pondus out of Marcus Jarling. I think he had rekindling for the same guy who went to the Melbourne Cup. I think they'll go down the same route with this horse. I think he'll go well in the Ebor and then go down under if they're allowed.
Ireland have won 4 of the last 10 renewals.
Yeah, and the other one is Le Donvey, also bought from Andrew Baldwin by Hughie Morrison. Carries a £5 penalty of 106. Hasn't been winning at that mark, but I think the step up in distance, it will relish that, and that's the key to him. And the only other one is Ranch Hand is 25. If this rain comes, and it has, he could go off nigh on favourite.
And what happens if you're pipped?
Johnny, 20 plus runners, York handicap. Chances are something's going to win by a neck or less. £100 back if you are beaten by that. Not a tenner like all the others. £100.
Absolutely love it. And keep an eye out for a very interesting horse at Leopardstown as well. So far, so good in the 2:05 on Thursday. Thanks for being in, Luke. It's time for a trading chat with Flynn Goward. How are you, Flynn?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you, Johnny. Very well.
You only backed a 300-1 winner at Leopardstown, didn't you?
I'd like to think so. I mean, we didn't lay it, thankfully, but we are seeing these bigger price winners these days. I mean, the way the SP system's been formulated at the moment. But luckily, we didn't lay it here, although I'm sure a few bookies did.
A lot of these show prices are actually value now. Certainly in Ireland, you're getting horses placed the whole time at 80-1, 100-1, and even winning at 300-1. Luke Comer from my mother's hometown of Glenamaddy, who's become a billionaire from nothing. But I imagine just having even a tenner on at 300-1 would have been nice.
Oh yeah, you can't complain. I mean, if you're backing a winner anywhere near that price, you'll be jumping for joy, I'd imagine.
Jumping for joy, or maybe not, because he's Ronnie O'Sullivan. He obviously won the World Championships. How did it work out for the firm?
Really poorly, actually. JB in his preview videos has been saying that we really want to oppose Ronnie, and we duly did. but it didn't work out very well for us. We laid Ronnie at 8-11 before the semi-final with Mark Selby. If you watched that semi-final, you would have thought that we would have got the money plenty of times.
He was 811 to 1 at some stage.
What's that?
He must have been 811 to 1 in running at some stage. I mean, basket case semi-final.
He touched 8 on the machine during that game, and we thought at that stage that we'd probably got the money, but it turned out not to be. And even Kyron Wilson made a bit of a run in the final, but we just couldn't get it done. And Ronnie won in true Ronnie fashion. So did our money in snooker, and to be honest, we're very happy to see the back of that tournament. Yeah,
you're not seeming that happy this morning. So is the Champions League going awry as well, or how's that going?
Champions League actually went alright. We saw the 4 quarter-finals last week, and it was 3-1 to us in terms of match results. We laid Atletico versus Leipzig, which was a good result for us. We laid Man City versus Lyon, and then we laid Barca versus Bayern, and the A2 travelling really did us a favour there. And then moving on to the last game, you had PSG versus Atalanta. We laid PSG, and for much of the game we thought we'd get the money there again. But for PSG, with 2 late goals, we thought we'd get the full cop on all 4 games, but it just turns out that we got 3 of the 4, so can't be complaining there. Are
you off to York, or how's that going to work?
I'm not off to York. We'll be here in the training room. Obviously kicks off today. We have laid a few anti-posts though, so just to quickly spin through them, these will be the ones that we don't want to win for our anti-post books. We've laid Sacred in the Lauver on Thursday. We've laid Art Power in the Numfork on Friday, obviously opposing Batash.
Absolutely no chance. Lay him away.
Yeah, well, hopefully we've seen a lot of money for Art Power. So
9-4 is one of the worst bets of all time, in my view. Anyway.
Well, maybe Batash is just a bit too short, and that's why the punters aren't getting involved, but they're certainly getting involved with the second in. And then Fajera Prince in Ebor, so that's now favourite for Ebor at 7-1 on Saturday. We've seen a lot of money for that. Obviously, absolutely dotted up Ascot, and punters think that they will go and do it again.
Top man. It's time for football with Adam Russell. Adam only tipped a 4-6 winner last week. Lewandowski scored any time, Adam, but I think you or I would have scored against Barca last week.
Yeah, I mean, with the way Lewandowski's playing, I'm not going to take too much credit for that tip, but obviously nice to have a winner anyway.
It was an absolute battering.
Yeah, it really felt like the end of an era for that Barcelona team, and this idea of them, being the total football inside, and they just crumbled in both halves, really. The defending was awful, and I really think that Spanish football is going to be on the downturn for a couple of seasons. We saw it with the Premier League, that we had a few seasons of relatively lean European success. So I think that Spain are going to go through a similar period now, and we'll see players go to the Premier League and to Italy.
That's very interesting. City don't win the Champions League, so who does?
I think Bayern Munich are still the favourites. I don't think it's a surprise to see PSG there. The one season they managed to keep Neymar fit for the knockout stages, they get to the final. I think that's not really a surprise. They played really well last night. They look pacey going forward, and I think they will cause Bayern trouble, but I think Bayern are still the best team in Europe and are definitely the team to beat at 4-7.
Let's talk to Europa League final. You mentioned Spain. Sevilla are carrying the flag for Spain against Inter, a functional Conte managed side. 23-10, Sevilla 12-5 to draw, and 23-20 Inter, who sort of should win really if they perform.
Yeah, I think this Sevilla side, they've obviously done well to make it there, but I don't think they're as good as the side that obviously won 3 Europa Leagues in a row. And I don't think they really played that well against United. They just took their chances. So I do think Inter are the favourite. So I would probably be going Inter Milan to win without both teams to score. That's 10-3. And obviously Lukaku has been in good form, but I really like Lautaro Martinez. He's got 14 Serie A goals this season. He scored 2 in the semi-final against Shakhtar. So I like him to score any time at 8-5.
Lovely. It's time for Hit the Tweet Spot this week. Now, Mickey Fletcher featured in Betting People with Simon last week, and there was a reply to that actually wins the Hit the Tweet Spot. It's from Adam Norman, and Adam said, interesting that the kid, Ben and others have said that the key is mental approach. If you can walk away for weeks, months even, you will feel the benefit. Sage words there from Adam. He wins a free pony bet this week. It could be you next week. Just reply to any tweet from Star Sports or mention Star Sports in a tweet, and you could hit the tweet spot and win a free pony bet. Star Sports Greyhound Derby is coming to us very, very soon. You can feel Julie's excitement here, and Pat Rosney features with her this week.
Thanks, Johnny. Well, can you believe it is now just over 6 weeks until the Star Sports Greyhound Derby kicks off at Nottingham. The countdown is very much on. Here at Star Sports, we've got plenty of features and interviews for you over the coming weeks. This week, I was lucky enough to catch up with Pat Rosney, who has a real contender for this year's Star Sports Derby in the shape of All England Cup winner, Bower Luke.
I think he's a very, very good dog, and you know, you go back to December and he ran such a good race at Newcastle in the Laurels behind, you know, a terrific dog, Ice on Fire. And there was no Ice on Fire there the other night. The bit that surprised me was what he did to the field, to the first bend. There were some real good dogs in there with good early pace. And, you know, he opened up such a gap to the first bend, and he did the same the other night at Nottingham. And
Blue Horseshoe is staying loyal to his selection last week. This week, a fascinating betting preview coming up for the golf.
G'day golf fans. Well, if you had Jim Herman at the Wyndham Championship last week, well done to you. Not many of us did. He was paying any sort of old money to win, and he did so beating Billy Horseshoe coming down the stretch in a bit of a birdie fest. That's Jim Herman's second win on tour in the last 2 years. That's as many wins across 2 years as one Rory McIlroy, would you believe? So now we head off to the business end of the season. It's the FedEx Cup Series starting at TPC at Boston. This is a star-packed field. The top 126 money earners of the season battled it out here. And Blue Horseshoe loves Patrick Reed. Once again, we're going to stick with Reed. He just finished outside the places last week. He's won here twice before. I like him at this tournament. He won here last year. I think his game's trending into form, and I'm going to stick with him. So to see who else Blue Horseshoe loves and why, check out the Star Sports blog below, and good luck.
Let's get to Jordan to talk boxing. How are we, Jordan?
Yeah, not too bad, Johnny. How are you?
I'm not too bad. It's time to talk Fight Camp 4, and we have a bit of Katie Taylor coming up this week.
Yeah, she's doing a rematch with Delphine Persoon. This is the rematch of probably the greatest female fight of all time from last June.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised at the odds. If she's 3-10 and Delphine is 3-1, considering how close it was.
Yeah, I mean, many thought Delphine Persoon won that first fight. I personally thought Katie Taylor did, but since then, Delphine Persoon's had a bit of a crazy journey. She actually switched from professional boxing back to amateur boxing, tried to qualify for the Olympics, got beat, and has now came back to professional boxing. So I think that's sort of playing in Katie Taylor's hands. But I think people are sort of banking on Katie maybe had a night off in that fight in Madison Square Garden. But yeah, I mean, we'll soon see.
What have we got on the male front?
So the top of the bill is Dillian Whyte and Alexander Povetkin. It's sort of an unofficial world title eliminator. It's pretty exciting because these two can switch each other's lights out with one punch. So it's going to be, you know, a blink and you'll miss it sort of thing. But obviously Dillian Whyte's British and he's on a great tear at the moment. He's undefeated since he got beat by Anthony Joshua back in 2015, and he's knocking on the door for a world title now.
We got a special as well. Whyte to win by KO, TKO or disqualification, and Katie Taylor to win by decision or technical decision 11-4 from 5-2.
Yeah, I think that's a really good bet. I mean, Povetkin's 40 now, so he's obviously coming to the end of his career. So I think Dillian Whyte will be expecting to get him out of there before the end. And as I said, Katie Taylor versus Persoon was a very close fight first time round. They fight over 10 rounds, 2 minutes. So it's very likely that it's going to go to the cards, and I think Katie will get it again. So yeah, that's a really good double.
Top man. It's time for cricket with Ryan Sidon. You'll see it's actually quite bright in the background, but it hasn't been very bright in the old cricket of late. It reminds me of the Only Fools and Horse episode where Del Boy gets a trip to Benidorm because it's raining and nobody wants to rain. But what's it done to the cricket, Ryan?
It's spoiled the cricket, hasn't it? It could have been another fantastic, exciting test match. England winning the first test. Pakistan had to come back stronger. But we have watched the rain just pour and pour and pour. It's really spoilt what I thought would have been 3 fantastic test matches. Within this test match, I think rules and regulations need changing. in terms of people want to see cricket, and there's too many rain breaks, there's too many stoppages. You know, there could have been a lot more play. You know, get the players out there. If the field is slightly wet, so what? And I think also England batted and on a very tricky pitch, and it highlighted some techniques that maybe need working on. And then Zach Crawley, you know, a young man who's come in and batted beautifully, got 50 runs on a pitch that was doing loads, and he showed how to, you know, get stuck in, get behind the ball, and build your innings. He was fantastic.
Well, let's talk the third test, which is 10-11 England, 5-2 the draw, 11-4 Pakistan. Stuart Broad as well, an 8-1 shot appeal to you.
Yeah, 8-1. Stuart Broad, 5 wickets first innings is a serious bet. I think, you know, I'd go for him any time. You know, he always seems to do it when it matters. So hopefully I'll ring him up and say, look, you're under pressure now. You need a 5 for Brody, and he'll come good for us.
Not sure about that. Not sure you can really be ringing a lad to kind of get a bet over the line, can you?
Nah, you can't really. But I mean, it's just tongue in cheek, isn't it? And it's just quite nice that, you know, he's the star player. You know, he generally takes wickets when England need it. He's the man for the occasion. So I've gone for Stuart Broad, 8-1.
Top man. William Kijani, how are we?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad. Rocking the 1970s civil servant look with those glasses, I believe.
Indeed, exactly what I'm going for, and I'm absolutely delighted. You've made my day.
You'd almost think we've done 3 takes of this. What's going on in the world of politics?
Okay, so something really interesting this week. The World Cup of MPs. Now, this has been going on for ages, and there was a huge flurry of activity. Star punters making Jeremy Corbyn the 11-10 favourite. Understandable given his big follower base on Twitter. We've gone through these rounds, we're now at round 5, and the big names will take each other on in parliamentary terms. You have, for instance, a 2-up Conservative match between Ben Bradley and James Cleverly. You also had Lysa Dawn Butler, Yvette Cooper and Lisa Nandy now in groups against each other. There's a lot of value, I still think, out there, even with all these MPs taking each other on. And I think a woman from the left could go quite deep into the competition. I'd be looking at Dawn Butler at 33-1, and I'd be looking also at Representative Alan Khan at 8.
What's going on in the Conservative Party? Not good.
Not good, not good. Another scandal, another minister really on the brink. In fact, the Eye says that Gavin Williamson actually offered his resignation to Boris Johnson, but it was rejected. That'll be a kick in the teeth to the punters who backed him into 74 to be the next cabinet minister to leave. The Conservative Party have formed in terms of riding these out. So you remember the furore over Dominic Cummings and also Robert Jenrick. They stayed and they look secure for the future. I think they'll try this again with Williamson, but it might be harder. This has even more cut from.
Top man, William.
Thank you very much.
Let's go over to Simon now for this week's betting people. And he's a cracking guest this week in the shape of Jeremy Scott, the farmer turned trainer and many a friend of punters down the years.
Thanks, Johnny. This week's betting people is with trainer Jeremy Scott. Now, Jeremy and his wife Camilla started training pointers in 1992 from their dairy farm at Holworthy. And then they went professional in 2007. Punters will tell you that the Scott Yard know the time of day. Jeremy certainly goes to extra lengths to get to know the game better, as you see in this trailer.
Thought it would be a good idea, again, just to ride in the hunt race pointing. Just so that I had some idea of what is going on in a race. Because the easiest thing is to bollock the jockey for getting it wrong, and actually if you're not doing it from a point of having some idea of what is going on, it's probably not really fair.
Thanks very much for watching this week, and don't forget that all the blogs are on starsportsbet.co.uk. You'll also get us on 08000 521 321, and don't forget to download the app. See you next week.